Andrew received his Bachelor's of Science with an emphasis in finance from Union College in 2002. He then continued on to get his Master's of Business Administration from the University of Central Florida. Upon graduating from Union, Andrew launched an extensive career in healthcare administration, beginning his career as a finance resident at AdventHeath Sonora. Over the next 20 years, he successfully fulfilled the roles of finance director at Jahn Medical Center, CFO and then CEO of Adventist Health Sonora, president of Adventist Health Southern California region, president of Adventist Health Care Division, and most recently, executive vice president and CEO of the AdventHeath State Division. While his professional achievements are certainly something, welcoming my father and my inspiration, Andrew Jahn.
Dude, thank you. Is this on? Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Man, I actually, now, Ethan did such a great job with that, I'd actually like him to just do the rest of this presentation. Thank you so much. Folks, it is an absolute privilege to be with you today. My name is Andrew Jahn. You can call me Andy, like most people do. My week started in Los Angeles, where I live. I spent 4 days on the East Coast, and this morning I woke up in Lincoln, Nebraska. Right? My watch automatically resets itself to every time zone, and when I woke up, Garmin was confused. I mean, that's how crazy my week's been. So I am so thrilled to get to start the Sabbath and enter into Sabbath hours with some of my favorite people in the whole world. Right here in Lincoln, Nebraska, right here, Dave, in the middle of everywhere.
Everywhere.
So let's get into it. I'm going to try to open up this device. It's asking me for a secret code. Can you believe that? And we'll get going. It's, like I said, it's an honor to be here and to be asked back to leaders building leaders. When I first met Lisa, I'm sorry, Dr. Forbes. When I first met Dr. Forbes, she was on a partner track with a Big Five accounting firm. I think it was maybe Deloitte & Touche. And I'm just so impressed that she pivoted to refocus her life's work on educating the next generation of leaders. So Lisa, a huge thank you to you, but a huge thank you, I don't know if President Sauter's in the room, but a huge thank you to the entire faculty and staff at Union College for the work you do preparing the next generation of leaders to serve. It's an awesome and incredible calling. So before I get into this presentation, while I still have maximal credibility, I want to tell you something, Emma. You serve a God that is way bigger than you can even imagine. Way bigger than you can even imagine. And in fact, this God has an amazing plan for your life, and an amazing plan for your life, Ethan. And all I would submit is follow his lead and prepare to be surprised. So if you remember nothing else from the next 25 minutes, take that away. I forgot one important fact to remember. I don't know if anyone's been under the weather, but go see the school nurse. She's the most amazing lady on this campus, and she'll take really good care of you. I better not leave those important people out. So personally, Ethan mentioned my undergrad training was right here in Lincoln, Nebraska, but I need you to know, like some of the folks in the back row, I'm a stakeholder in Union College. I love this institution. I'm proud of the work you're doing. And As Ethan mentioned, in addition to being an alumni in Union Grad, I'm a proud Union dad. And in fact, Marlene and I, when Ethan decided to come to Union, we were so ecstatic. We bought a house right down the street so we could be here as often as possible and be involved on campus at Union College. But what you should know is that's not even the most important reason my connection to Union College. I actually followed the love of my life to this school, and then I married her. So Marlena is my wife of 23 years now, and the mother of our 5 children that Ethan also referenced. I apologize for being tethered to my notes, but it is the net effect of my week. So apologies aside. Let's be real, college students. College is hard. So I just want to say thank you for just showing up, Eve, and putting in the work to be successful. It will pay huge dividends. It's worth it. So keep doing it. Seriously though, I cherish the partnership that AdventHeath has with this organization. Yesterday, a day ago, I was with the board of AdventHeath, and your president, Benita Sauter, was with us, and we were reviewing the list of gifts that AdventHeath has been able to contribute to colleges and universities across the country. And last year, that number was $8 million, and 1.2 of it came to this institution. And it's intentional. It's because we want to make sure we have a direct connection to the leaders of the future. And look to the person next to you. Okay, look at Nathan. Look at Ethan. Look at Brenton. Look at Dace. Look at Mallory.
Sorry.
Look at Emma. Hey, by the way, Emma, she's dressed like a boss, right? Look at Eve. Look at Ethan. These are the future leaders, and as a healthcare institution with 95,000 employees, we need a pipeline directly connected to the next generation of leaders. So cherish that partnership, but not as much as I cherish her. Folks, there's one singular universal characteristic that literally differentiates leaders from the rest of the world. If someone's brave enough to tell me what that is, we'll shorten up the rest of this presentation. Anybody got it? That's a good one. Mr. John?
All over.
You know what? He always have a smart dad. I'm going to let you pick something out of that backpack later. Oh, by the way, folks, I want this to be interactive, and so my admin team sent me with a backpack full of cool stuff from AdventHeath, and I'm going to give it all away, including the backpack. I don't know what's in here, but I promise you that if you, maybe we'll have someone pull that stuff out. If you are willing to engage with me, I will find something in that bag that you cannot live without, and we will send it home to you. So thank you. The only thing that differentiates leaders from everyone else is there are people following. And what we get tied up in business, we spend a lot of time focused on how and what, but what we should be asking ourselves is why. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time with you this afternoon talking about why. Listen, don't get me wrong. What you decide to do with your life is critical. It's really important. But I'm going to argue that your why is what's going to determine the magnitude of your impact. Your why is so important that it almost doesn't matter what you start with. You guys want to play a little game with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Any math majors in here? Any math majors? Ethan Hatfield's a math major. For how many? Jonathan, he literally still has his rappelling harness on under his pants. He just finished rappelling off the building. So Jonathan, you're a math major. We're going to play a little math game to illustrate my point. So those of you that aren't math majors, like the rest of the folk in the room, especially those Gen Zers, pull out your iPhone, open up the calculator app, and follow along. Can you guys do that? All right, Jonathan, I want you to pick a number, any number. Pick a number.
41.
Okay, you don't have to, don't tell me. You don't have to tell me. It actually doesn't hurt any if you tell me, but just pick a number.
Okay.
Now, because he's a math major, he can do this with big numbers. So, you're going to double it. You're going to double your number. Then you're going to add 12 to that number. Got it? Everyone here? Everyone keeping up? Now divide that number by 2. You there? Okay, subtract your original number, even half of it, and add 1. Now, is anyone brave enough and vulnerable enough to volunteer your answer?
23.
Nope.
Who
else? 7?
7.
Raise your hand if you got 7. It's only raising your hand right now only says you can follow very, very simple instructions. That's all it says. It has nothing to do with your ability to be a leader in the future, because I think you're going to be there. I mean, leaders do think outside the box, but let's be honest, you didn't follow my instructions. So let's do it again. Let's do it again. Take your number, double it, add 12. You with me?
Yeah.
All right. Divide that number by 2. Subtract from that your original number and add 1. What's your number? Okay. Thank you for helping me.
Every single time you solve everything.
Folks, as leaders, it's
In order, it
super
doesn't
easy to
look
get
adding first and then
fixated
dividing second.
on what or how. But if you understand why, you'll always get to the same answer. Now, you might be tempted to ask me, the temptation is to say, how did you know my number? And that's the wrong question. What you need to ask is, why did you know the answer was 7? And that's simple. For the math majors in the room, I gave you an equation where your original number was canceled out, and what was left was the product of 7. And it will work every time, no matter what number you use, positive, negative, every time. The why is why this illustration works. Regardless of what you start with, the answer is always the same when you know and you understand your why. Look, famous Holocaust survivor, author, and thought leader, Viktor Frankl. You guys read any of his books, his stuff? He says this, I'm going to quote it, I'm going to read his quote. He says, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. I'm certain that came in handy in his concentration camp. Look, my why is super simple. It's straightforward. I've been given a platform in my line of work, and specifically in my role at AdventHeath, to motivate and equip leaders to transform the health and well-being of communities all across this country. Last year we cared for over 8 million individuals. This year we'll care for over 10 million individuals. And I really deeply appreciate that platform. I appreciate the chance to help other leaders motivate their teams to drive results that are transforming lives in the communities that we serve. But I've got to tell you that way before I can be effective in that role, I have a job to motivate this team of 7. You know, I wish Robin wasn't at work today because she took that picture. If you know Nolan Shea, where's Nolan? Is he in here? Mr. Shea, your mom took that picture, so give her props. It's actually the best family picture I have, but you can tell it's a couple years old because Ethan looks like a little boy in there. I mean, honestly, was that a year ago? Well, I don't know. Before we can be impactful in our vocation, we have to understand what our responsibilities are and what our God-given requests of us are. So in my case, my why is much more impactful. Much more impactful. In fact, I'm able to have a greater impact because of my job with this family, 5 children, one perfect baby girl, as Ethan referenced. Now, I want to run through some examples, and this is when you first come, first serve gets to pick out their favorite thing. For the golfers, we've got a Cutter and Buck golf sweater. What else we have? A polo. We have a portable charger. I don't know what it'll charge, but it's portable. All right. I want to run through some examples of some influential leaders in business and industry that started with a powerful why, and that why allowed them to outperform their industry sector. So, who's all read up on their Harvard Business Review case studies? Anybody all read up? Who can tell me the names of these 2 gentlemen on the screen? Anybody have a guess?
Charles, and then Charles.
You know, I would have gone with Charles. Yes, I think I would have started with Charles. But how about what if I gave you this?
Procter &
Which one? Is Procter? No. So who we have here are William Procter and Jim Gamble. Now, I have some specific insights into this organization because Jim Gamble's great-grandson, Jim Gamble, serves on my board at St. Helena Medical Center in Northern California. He lives in the Napa Valley. Procter & Gamble had a phenomenal why, and in fact, their why is why they have had a business that's lasted almost 200 years now, 150 years. Bill Procter and James Gamble had a vision that we will provide branded products and services of superior quality and value that improve the lives of the world consumers. They didn't say we're going to be the best at selling shampoo. Their why was to improve the lives of the world consumers. And that's a pretty powerful platform. You know this guy? Steve Jobs, you got it. Hey, pick something out. I don't know. If anybody wants to claim the Procter & Gamble, they can come pick something out, but quite honestly, I don't think you've earned it. Steve Jobs' why was to create solutions to empower people and enrich lives. He didn't say I'm going to invent the iPhone, which he did way after Mac computers. He said, I'm going to create solutions. I'm going to create solutions to empower people's lives and enrich lives. That's a powerful why. By the way, in business, what do we call your why? What do we usually call it? Mission statement, purpose, vision. Usually, why a business exists is wrapped up in one of those things. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to apologize to this half of the room for being tethered to that half of the room. It's because my notes are over there. It's not because I don't like you, Ethan Ross. I really do, but my notes are over there. So let's do the next one. Anybody know this guy? Ford. Hey, who got it? Who got Henry Ford? Who got it? All right, whoever feels that they were first to say Henry Ford, come up and get something cool for the front show. Whoever, come on. I'm going to let you self-regulate. So Henry Ford, does anyone know what Henry Ford's stated mission is? Does anybody know? Henry Ford says, we're going to create a company of people working together in a lean global enterprise, not to build cars, not to build trucks. Oh, I drive Chevy trucks, so. Henry Ford said, we're going to do that to make people's lives better. That's the mission of Ford Motor Company. Next one.
Herb Kelleher.
Nice. Hey, raise your hand if you work for Southwest Airlines. Keep going.
He democratized the skies for the United States.
He sure did. And what platform did he do that on? Customer service. You're exactly right.
SA pricing.
Pricing was a really important piece of it, but what Herb Keller said, and by the way, there was one other person at the table when they founded Southwest Airlines. His name was Roland King. Does anybody know him? It was Roland King's idea. Herb was the attorney. Isn't that crazy? But Herb stuck with it, and he retired as chairman emeritus of the organization, and he passed away just 4 years ago. A few years ago, yeah. Thanks. So his whole motivation was a dedication to the highest quality of customer service imaginable. And if you're like me, I fly Southwest Airlines every week. It's like a bus ticket. You get on, you get your spot. But what I love about that organization is its results are replicatable and I know exactly what to expect. Founded in customer service. All right, next, this one. Come on, people. We're getting really close to your generation. All right, hey, come on down, come on down. I got a polo shirt or a backpack or something just for you. Anything you want off this table, because I had to carry this on the plane here. I'm not carrying it back. Come on down there. All right, you're exactly right. These gentlemen founded Google. Oh, sorry. Thank you. They're getting easier. You got to earn. At the beginning, you got to earn your prize. All right. So, Brian Page and Sergey Brin. You know what Google's mission is? Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. A pretty solid lie. All right, this guy.
You raise her hand.
Come get something. Anybody else who's answered Bezos, come get something off your desk. I have. Brenton, this looks like your opinion. This looks amazing. But so does that. All right, Amazon. You know what Amazon's mission statement is? Do you know Amazon's why? Amazon's vision is to be the Earth's most consumer-centric company. If you need it, they want to be able to deliver it. My favorite. Warren Buffett. Hey, someone earned something. So, this is a true story. When I was in your seat at Union College about 21 years ago, the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, stood right here in this room and gave a keynote presentation to our, what do we call it, Barry? It wasn't Leaders Building Leaders. It was our Business Awareness Series. Sounds right. So, something else about leadership that is universal and that has made Mr. Buffett so successful. By the way, at multiple times in his tenure, Warren Buffett has been the wealthiest individual in the world, but that was never his ambition or his motivation. One of the things that's made Warren Buffett successful is a very, very crystal clear clarity on what his purpose was, and that was protecting his investors, while celebrating and rewarding them for their achievements. But what he told us in this room that I've never forgotten is he felt like his job was to delight customers, and he would buy any company who prioritized their work first on those 3 words: delight my customer. Now, one of the things that Buffett has done extremely well is attract really quality people. And what you'll find about leaders is the best leaders have the best followers. And Warren Buffett has 3 kind of criteria that he shared with us when he was standing in this room that he has maintained to make sure his team is the best people possible. He says when he's hiring somebody, and if you want to go work for Berkshire Hathaway, keep this in mind. He looks first, actually they're not in order. This is the order, but they're not prioritized in this order. He looks for intellect. He looks for high energy, so intellect and speed. And then thirdly, he looks for character. And what Buffett told us is, listen, there are a lot of people in this world, in business, who have the first 2. If you have the first 2 and you don't have character, if your life is not dictated by a set of moral principles and values, the first 2 will kill you. Every person he hires on his team is prioritized based on that matter. When I moved to LA about 7-8 years ago, I met a guy named Michael. And Michael was moving to LA about the same time as me. we moved to LA for very different reasons. I moved because I was getting asked to do a big job, and Michael moved because he was following a really big dream. And but people still kind of looked at us. They looked at us skeptical, right? So Michael moves with 5 kids. I moved with 5 kids. Just the 2 of us together. Anytime we get together, we have 10 kids in the room, right? So, and that's maybe not weird in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's just a little weird, but in Los Angeles, it's kind of really weird. So Michael is going to share with you his why and just a little bit about. He's going to help connect some dots for us. By the way, he's been very successful in his endeavors in Los Angeles as a comedian. And if Lisa could just play this for us, I'll sit and listen for a second.
How do I know? A lot of people, when they think of the phrase, how do I know, they always want to put the what behind it. How do I know what I'm supposed to do? The questions you really should ask is, how do I know why I'm here? Because when you know your why, your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience. And we've been filming this, and it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm going to show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director? Yes, sir. All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. That part I could sing. You know what I'm saying? Now, once you give me the version, is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick. Let me see if that exists. Let me see what you got. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Woo!
Okay. Here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
You guys follow that? One last leader. These old pictures are hard. Does that help? That's John Harvey Kellogg. Him and his brother are much more notable and well known for the work they did starting the Kellogg cereal company. But that was just a byproduct of a vision they had. You see, Dr. Kellogg, surgeon, he believed that the best way to spread the good news of the gospel was through health and wellness. And he believed that he could equip the next generation of spiritual leaders with the talent to serve and heal. And Dr. Kellogg started in pretty humble beginnings. I mean, that's not a shack, but he started the first Battle Creek Sanitarium out of his house. Hey, stand up real quick, Needles. Stand up real quick. Stand up. You see, this is what I have to do. I told him I would pay him extra. They don't want my money. They don't want my money. Dr. Kellogg started the very first Adventist hospital. And it grew over time. This is a picture of Battle Creek Sanitarium at its pinnacle in the 1920s before the building burned down. And today there's a legacy of over 100 hospitals across North America that follow in the same tradition with a principal why of improving the health and lives of people we serve. And because of Dr. Kellogg, there are Adventist hospitals and clinics in over 80 countries across the globe with over 2,000 locations, all because Dr. Kellogg had a really powerful personal why. And he stuck with it. Today, the why behind Advent Health is to extend the healing ministry of Christ. And that why has allowed us to take care of over 8 million patients last year and do some amazing things in some phenomenal communities. In many communities that we serve, we are the only access to health care in those communities. And I can tell you that's making a huge difference and a huge contribution. And I'm proud of being a part of that why. So, Union College students, I know not everybody in this room aspires to be a leader, but there are people in this room who do. I just want to say, don't worry about how you're going to become a leader. It's the wrong question. Go cultivate a powerful why. Follow his lead. And prepare to be surprised. All right. Folks, it's been so great to be with you today. This is one of my favorite things to get to do. I don't get to do it often enough because I fit too many other things in my schedule, but it's been an absolute privilege to be with you. And I hope that, again, I hope if you take nothing else away, you're going to follow his lead and be surprised. Lisa, do we have time for questions? All right. All right. President Sauter.
Did you realize that Kellogg had a sanitarium on our campus too?
I did.
I should give you a picture. It was a Nebraska sanitarium. It took half of our girls' dorm for 20 years.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, it was an impressive ambition to get the health message out in front of people at a time when it was not a popular message. I mean, the average lifespan of somebody, of a male in America was around 51 years. And Dr. Kellogg helped bend that curve. What other questions do we have, guys? I'm gonna go to Eve and then Mr. Mann. Lee. I think Eve's is going to be a better question.
You keep saying cultivate a why. Do you have any suggestions on how to start or set up the process, or do you think each person has to do their own journey and find it for themselves?
I do think it's a very personal thing. But I'll tell you this. Start with what you're interested in. Start with where your interest lies. Like, I happen to know, because I've spent some time with Eve, that she wants to be a nurse. She seeks adventure. She actually wants to be a flight nurse. And So I would start with things that you're interested in, cultivate those passions, and build that into why. All right, Dave.
What was your why before your family?
That's really good. So I don't believe, and I'll look to my friends in the back row here who've been doing this even longer than me. So Merlin, I don't think that my why is even fully matured yet. What I don't want you to think is that, I don't want you to think that your LinkedIn profile or your career can encapsulate your why. It's got to be much bigger than that. I loved some of the things Carl said upstairs earlier today. Is Carl with us down here? I love some of the comments he made around work-life balance, and I would actually challenge that and say, in our world today, everybody's so busy and everybody's so connected. So think about work-life integration and how you integrate your work into your life and vice versa. But do it with intentionality and do it with purpose. Next question. Sir. From Texas, from Dallas. We met in the hall earlier. Remind me what your name was?
Patrick.
Patrick. He's got a really big job. Working with a conglomerate that does cool stuff like oil and gas and construction. What else, Patrick?
There's a bunch of blue-collar companies, propane, HVAC, so.
Nice.
My question for you is, of all the companies you could have worked for, why'd you go into AdventHeath?
That's a great question. So, I worked for a corporation right here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Some of you guys know Kent Staley. He was my investments professor, and he introduced me to a guy named Bill Reed, who ran a small company called the Capital Group. It was just a couple of principals, and but mainly Bill. We had about $100 million under management. No one would ever think. It was office right over there at the Lincoln Trade Center, and about $100 million under management. And I loved working for the Capital Group. It was a pay-for-performance model. It allowed me to. I mean, I was learning things fast, and I was making a lot of money. I was doing well. I was on the phone with my broker-dealer office on 7 Park Avenue on September 11, 2001, when the first plane hit the World Trade Center. That office was literally blocks away on the same street from the World Trade Center. And that experience and what translated after that in terms of the market crash and the economic ripple effect gave me an opportunity to step back and say, am I going to be satisfied with a career that's tied solely to making wealthy people wealthier? Or do I want to do something that has a different, or I'm not even going to say greater purpose, but a different purpose? And it happened to be that week, leadership graduates from Union College, people who had graduated from Union College, who worked for AdventHeath, were on our campus interviewing individuals for an internship. And Barry Forbes said, Andy, you should go talk to Scott. He's a good guy. Talk to him while he's here, and just feel it out. Well, I made a commitment to work for AdventHeath for 3 years and do an internship. I entered that commitment fully anticipating that I would check my box, fulfill my 3-year commitment, walk out of there with a master's degree in business administration, and never look back. You know, I'm not very good at planning, or God had a different plan for my life, because that was 21 years ago, and what I can tell you is I've had just an extremely rewarding career. I've worked with individuals and people who have pushed me to the steep edge of my learning curve to keep me engaged and challenged. And if I could rewrite a chapter of the last 21 years, I wouldn't change a word. Thank you, Patrick. Other questions? Sir?
When did you find your why? Did you find it in college? Did you find it after that job? Or
So, again, my why is evolving, but I was immediately attracted to healthcare because it allowed me to take a skill set that I had learned in college and graduate school. I understand P&Ls, balance sheets. I understand my stock in trade is knowing my numbers in our business. Healthcare gave me a platform to apply that to a cause that was making a tremendous impact, like an outsized impact, bigger than I could do on my own, like if I was starting a small business. And so my why quickly aligned with the mission of Advent Health, improving the health and lives of people we serve. And right at the beginning, I started seeing how healthcare literally changed people. Literally, access to healthcare can literally change lives and transform communities. And sometime if we have a chance to sit down over coffee or something, I can tell you about stories in rural America where I've worked, where we were not only the only healthcare provider in that community, but we were the largest employer. We were the economic engine for that community, and quite honestly, drove economic viability because of our business model. What's your name? Jaden. Thank you. Jaden and I go way back. Right?
What's the hardest?
Mr. 23.
What's like the hardest?
No one else got that?
What's like the hardest thing that you've had to do to like keep going at your why?
So that's a great question, Jonathan. Corey asked, "What's the hardest thing I've done to keep going at my why?" Well, let me tell you this. The challenges of business don't go away just because you're doing the right thing. Understand that? Economics don't get easier just because you have a powerful mission statement. And ultimately, our ability to deliver on our mission is directly linked to our ability to be viable. We have, you've heard the saying, I don't love the saying, but no margin, no mission. You've heard that saying? It's factual. If you run out of money, you can't help anybody. And so in that vein of thinking, I've had to make difficult choices around personnel and people. I've had to close units that were providing value. Just last month, I was in the LA Times because I had to close an obstetrics unit at a hospital that was delivering about 300 babies a year. Well, you think, well, where are those 300 babies going to go? And the answer is they're going to have to go outside of town to get that care. But from a practical standpoint, I couldn't look my team in the eye or the board and say, we can afford to keep 24/7 nursing on call, 24/7 obstetricians, 24/7 neonatologists, and a NICU team for less than one baby a day. The math doesn't work. And those decisions are challenging and they're hard. But again, if you go back, if you link them back to why are we here, it helps level that conversation. Dan?
How do you see AI changing healthcare?
You know what, I have not, for the last 2 years, I've not given any talk where someone hasn't asked that question.
Well,
I mean, I was in Chicago at Becker's and 8 people asked that question. I'm like, did you hear? Anyway, AI is going to fundamentally transform how consumers interface with healthcare. And I think that's going to be a really good thing. Today, some of you have my chart in the palm of your hand. You can look at your records, you can look at your labs. AI is going to take that capability and scale it beyond what we can actually imagine or envision today. That's going to be a good thing for the consumer. Ultimately, it's going to improve outcomes because it's going to accelerate the time from I think I have a problem to diagnosis to treatment to cure. So I'm excited about it. Really excited about it. Today, on the cusp of that are areas like radiology. AI-assisted exam reads are accelerating turnaround times. They're improving diagnosis, and they're going to change the way the radiology business works. They're not going to eliminate the need for radiologists. You need that human expertise. But they're going to definitely scale that radiologist's ability to do their vocation.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that question. All right, I know your name.
Yeah. Do you want me to
Andreas.
Ooh, I like that, but. What would you say is your vision for the future when it comes to your professional career or even that?
Yeah, so I just spent 4 days with the governing board for AdventHeath, 4 powerful days. Your president was there with us. Gary Thurber, who ties this institution, was there with us. So was Juan Carlson. And embedded in that conversation, our teams walked through what the next 3 years look like. In fact, we yesterday we approved the investment of $1.4 billion into healthcare back in the communities we serve. And that, by the way, is just this quarter's investment. Pretty powerful. The future for healthcare is bright, but there are lots of pressures right now. There's 2 things that are going to collide. So we've got a workforce crisis that is already putting cost pressure on our ability to take care of patients and deliver our product. And the runway on that workforce crisis doesn't hit parity until 2037 if we do nothing. What I mean by that is take nursing programs in this country. There are not enough nurses coming out of nursing school to supply, at a Union College, to supply the nursing needs for Nebraska. And in fact, the math on the population says we don't get caught up until 2037. That's putting great pressure on us. The other challenge is we have the largest population base in this country is aging faster than anyone else. Did you know that? So our seniors, the baby boomers that are hitting age 65, they're high utilization years of healthcare, they're hitting that right now. So you've got the biggest population to take care of and the smallest workforce, and that's going to make it really challenging to be able to provide high quality, low cost care to everybody. That doesn't mean that looks bad though. What it means is we need smart people like you to lean in and help us figure out how to address that. Yeah, thanks so much. All right. So.
As someone that's worked in the healthcare industry and worked as a CEO and all of those things, what's your recommendation from as being a leader of your team as well as at one point being in the team, dealing with a competitive environment as you want to move up, and how do you prevent that from becoming a toxic work environment?
So I'm going to try to boil Levi's question down a little bit. I think what you asked is, how do you lead your team and not and promote people to do their best, but not create a competitive environment that's toxic? Or is that a fair summary? It starts with who you put on your team. It really starts with who you put on your team. Those 3 criteria that Warren Buffett outlined: intellect, pace, and character are so important. And the third one being the very most important. If you can surround yourself with people whose moral compass and the way they lead their life dictates everything they do, you don't have to worry about people knifing you in the back. Okay, you just don't. And by the way, there's a saying: a hot flame burns out fast. In an industry like healthcare, where there's scarcity and the end product is taking care of people at critical moments in their lives, there's no room for somebody who does not have a character governor. Those folks float to the surface really fast, and it doesn't work very well. So I think it starts with picking the right people on the team, and then going back to our leadership principles, making sure that team understands where they're going, and then giving them enough runway so that they can show up and do their very best every single day. That would be the way I would answer your super complicated question. The question of Levi.
How has God affected your life in the workplace, just overall in the business world?
Yeah, so I've been really fortunate. So with the exception of my first couple years in in wealth management. I've been very fortunate to work in a faith-based organization for the last 20 years. And that's given me an opportunity to integrate my personal faith with the work I do. I never have to stand up in front of a group, even if I'm in Sacramento testifying in front of legislation. I never have to hide behind the fact that I'm a Christian or I believe in a higher power, and that's really, really freeing. Even in a secular industry where commercial bankers may care more about your margin than your mission, what we're able to tell them is the reason that we keep our mission alive. The only reason we even endeavor to generate a margin is so that we can keep that mission going. Good question, though. Yeah. Good question. All right, Lisa.
Yes, well, Andy, I just want to say thank you again so much for
Aw.
sharing with us today. Appreciate that. A small token of our appreciation.
I know some of y'all didn't claim your prize, so I still have a couple golf shirts. That one looks like Nolan's right there. Get them when you want to.
And just so you all know, at 3 o'clock today, they're doing a walkthrough and opening the Reiner Wellness Center, so you're welcome. Come over there if you want to get a sneak peek inside of Reiner Wellness Center, starting at 3 to 5. During the 5, yeah, 3 to 5. Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.